Hi guys. In the last chapter 20, we will discuss a little bit about environmental policy and decision making. And in this chapter, I'm going to overview the new challenges for the new time, the new century, and my focuses will be help you to understand the Environmental Protection Agency. EPA, the history of EPA, what they do, what challenges they are facing now. And I'll give you a little bit overview about the process of decision making from the government and how the laws, environmental laws, are enforced. And the last thing I want to emphasize is what comes around, goes around comes around. So what we do as individuals, that is very important for our environment. So eventually we count on every individuals to protect the environment instead of just counting on the government or authority to do the command and the control, the punishment, the end of pipe methods. So we do have a lot of new challenges, but at the end of the semester, I do think it's not very hard to comprehend. So we're facing the growing population, and which leads to overfishing, overharvesting, overgrazing, and that is causing a lot of conflicts in different areas of the world. And the pollution problem, economic problem, population growth problem that become more and more global. And the third thing I want to mention is communication revolution, because we expand the communication, and now more and more people outside the government is demanding a greater role in decision making. We'll explore the details later. And the last thing I want to mention is the knowledge economy. So science is not a separate process anymore, and the knowledge has become the economy's most important and dynamic resource. And as years pass by, people just realize knowledge is wealth and the knowledge is economy. And these graphs shows population increase aggravates resource scarcity. So this is a very real problem, the population growth that brings a serious other challenges. So think about the environment and the economy. Environmental problems sometimes quickly become economic or societal problems. So commonly people tend to see those two issues as separate, but as time passes by, there are numerous body of proven facts to show us that environment sometimes is economy. And it is important to recognize that economic, environmental, and the social goals are entirely linked to underdeveloped policies that reflect that interrelatedness, that interrelationship. So those issues cannot be dealt separately anymore. And the trend in the future is we have to collaborate more in decision making. That means that is not a sole responsibility from the government. And it is from the government, from the science field, from the industry, and from the individuals, from nonprofit organization, from environmental groups. So that is a team decision. And the good news is what happened in the past do not have to be repeated in the future. Look at the disastrous result of overfishing and how bad the air pollution used to be. And I can confidently say the trend is not destiny. What happened in the past is not definitely going to happen in the future. So some of the past was horrible. And what we can learn from it, in the past 50 years, the basic pattern of environmental protection in developed countries has been to react to specific crises. So it used to be we face it until we don't face it until we have a big problem. We don't face it until the problem is really bad and which demands an immediate fix. So looking back in US history, EPA plays a very important role in treating and control those pollutions. So what a big lesson we learn is the failure to think about the future will lead to great economic and environmental costs on future generations. So what we learned, simply saying, is we don't want wait till it is getting really bad. We want to prepare beforehand. And the cost of avoiding a problem is often far less than the cost of solving it later. And I give you case studies to show that, right? It's always more than double the cost when we try to fix something, even in the urban planning. It is very expensive to change the infrastructure, then have a good plan earlier in the place. And it's always much more expensive to change than building from the beginning. So thinking about the future, controlling pollutants alone, no matter how successful, will not achieve an environmentally sustainable economy. So we cannot adopt that have problem, it's getting bad, and fix it approach anymore. And we are progressing from an environmental paradigm based on cleanup and control to one including assessment, anticipation, and avoidance. So we shift from have problem treated to we want to have assessment, we want to predict the problem and avoid the problem. And in the long run, environmental quality is largely a function of behavior of individuals. I want to emphasize this because eventually it all comes back to us, and every individual's action counts. So look at the development of environmental policy in the United States, looking back at the development, and we can I want to emphasize some of the concepts here just to help you understand how the policy was made and how it is carried out. So public policy is a general principle by which government branches are guided in their management of public affairs. So public policy is a bunch of rules. And the government branches, those are the functional units to carry out the public policy, that is legislative, executive, and judiciary. So legislative, which is Congress, they declare and shape national policy by passing legislation. So those are the lawmakers, and those are the decision makers on which law to pass. And we have executive branch, which is led by the president of the country. And we have the court system to interpret the law.